Welcome to Tardisian Files. In the events of the Giggle, we found out from the toy maker that he had imprisoned the Sacha Darwin incarnation of the Master in his golden tooth for all eternity, after the Master lost to him in their final game. At the end of the Giggle, however, the golden tooth was left behind after the toy maker was defeated, and someone with painted red nails stole it from Unit HQ. So today we're going to discuss who done it. The two big questions are who the actor is and who the character is. Two additional questions are, is this mystery person working on the Master's behalf, or are they working on behalf of that of an unknown party? Is the Master really in control anymore? So, starting with who the actor is, in our second case file we have already discounted Anita Dobson, who plays Mrs. Flood, Ruby Sunday's neighbour. The details of our theories about her are all in case file 2, so check that out if you haven't already. However, there are still plenty of other people who could have taken the tooth. In particular, two actors spring to mind: Helena Bonham Carter and Jinx Monsoon. Starting with Jinx Monsoon, the American drag queen has not revealed much about their Doctor Who character, though we know from earlier reports from before the 60th anniversary that they will be playing a villain, and so we deduced in our breakdown in the next time trailer that Jinx Monsoon will be appearing in the episode with the Beatles and is likely to be a member of the Toymakers Legions. So could the nicknamed Music Meister have taken the Master's tooth? Surprisingly, yes. The Master lost the Toymaker in his final game, and even though the Toymaker was defeated, the terms of the Master's defeat still stands: eternal imprisonment within the tooth. The Toymaker is not the type of being to give up his playthings, especially when they have significant value, like the Master, who is revered across the galaxy for their nefarious actions over their various lifetimes. So, perhaps a lesser being in the Toymaker's ranks took the opportunity to swipe the Master's tooth with the intention of either releasing the Master to use in their own schemes, or, having pledged loyalty to the Toymaker, it's possible that Jinx Monsoon's character may have taken the Master's tooth to essentially keep the Master within the Toymaker's clutches, even if he's currently imprisoned in the toy box. Another theory from a Screen Rant article states that Jinx could be a future incarnation of the Master. Though I personally find this unlikely, it wouldn't be the first time that the Master has literally made their own future by interacting with their past incarnations. So, Jinx Monsoon being the culprit is one likely possibility. However, there is still the question of Helena Bonham Carter. For those who've been keeping up with the news from January to February of 2024, this year, you know that a familiar story has been making headlines. That Helena Bonham Carter originally auditioned for a role on Doctor Who before Russell T Davies told her to turn it down as he had a better role in mind for her. Interestingly, this story made headlines after the Christmas special and the 60th anniversary, despite not being new news. It was reported on at the time, so everyone knows about it. So why is it suddenly making its way back into the headlines? Interesting, no? And then, of course, there's the visual evidence from the limited footage of the hand from the Giggle. Full disclosure, this is heavily going into the realm of speculation and a bit of pseudoscience, but stay with me here. So, first off, the tooth was taken with somebody's right hand, which had red painted nails, smooth white skin, and slender fingers. Anyone who's a fan of Helena Bonham Carter and is maybe overly observant may have noticed that both Helena and several of her characters wear red nail polish quite often. Additionally, upon visual inspection, the index finger on the mystery hand has a similar knuckle structure and shape to Helena Bonham Carter's right hand index finger. Also, Helena Bonham Carter has a small mark on the right middle finger, faint but still noticeable up close, and the position of the hand that took the tooth was interestingly positioned so that we could only see it from a side view. Perhaps this was to cover up any distinctive traits that could help identify the owner of the hand. Finally, comparisons of the photo, not the biometrics, of the hand stealing the tooth compared to photos of Helena's right hand showed an average of 42.26% similarity. These comparisons were obviously based on photo evidence rather than concrete biometric evidence. However, even taking these results with a pinch of salt, the level of similarity is interesting. So I do think that it is highly likely that Helena Bonham Carter is joining the Doctor Who cast in 2024, and she may very well be the actress playing the character who's behind the theft of the Master's tooth. Though, as always, we will have to wait for more information before we can be sure. Moving away from the actor and focusing more on the character themselves, assuming that this character is not Jinx Monsoon's villain, who else could the Tooth Thief be? Well, the way I see it, there are three options based on the evidence and some speculation as to who the mystery person's allegiance is to. They could be another member of the Toymaker's legions, they could be loyal to the One Who Waits, or maybe they're loyal to the Master. As we've said for Jinx Monsoon, it's entirely possible that as a prized plaything of the Toymakers, that one of the Toymaker's legionnaires could have gone to retrieve the Master at the Toymaker's behest. The Toymaker may have rightly anticipated his defeat and made plans to keep the Master part of his grand design for the future. So the mystery hand could be a legionnaire of the Toymaker. But on the flip side, it is possible that the mystery hand could be working for the Master. The Master may have deliberately lost to the Toymaker, and having managed to get him to reveal his intentions to challenge the Doctor, rightly anticipated that the Toymaker would lose. After all, how did the Toymaker know that the Toymaker was back while he was dying, and know to summon him for one final game, unless the Toymaker appeared to him off-screen before the Master's defeat? It wouldn't be the first time that the Master has made contingency plans involving human acolytes to return from the dead, as he did so before with his cult, the Disciples of Saxon, in The End of Time Part 1. However, I think that this is less likely, as the Disciples of Saxon and the Master's death at the hands of his wife were all part of a plan that was on a much smaller scale than any plan centred around the Toymaker. Plus, how could the Master have anticipated the Toymaker's defeat at Unit HQ in London in 2023? It seems more likely that a higher being is pulling the strings. However, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Toymaker. Which brings us to the third option, the One Who Waits. Now, we will discuss the identity of the One Who Waits in our next case file, but their relevance to this one is simply that they may be responsible for the Master being taken. The Toymaker describes the One Who Waits as being so powerful even he did not dare challenge them. This raises the question that maybe the One Who Waits followed the Toymaker to Earth intending to steal the Master in preparation for a future confrontation with the Doctor. I think that this is the most likely explanation for the Master's tooth disappearing, and of course to give the Master a new lease of life in the future. Either the One Who Waits intends to use the Master as part of their plot against the Doctor, or, knowing the Doctor's complex history with his arch-rival, he may very well use the Master, still imprisoned within his tooth, as a hostage in an attempt to force the Doctor's hand. So who do you think the mystery hand is? Who do you think's playing them? Let us know in the comments section of your favourite podcast app, or head over to our social media pages and put your ideas in the comments of the promo post for this episode. If you liked this episode, please leave a like and share with your friends. You can also subscribe to our podcast on your preferred podcast app and follow our social media pages on Instagram and TikTok, both under the handle @Tardisian Files Podcasts, to keep up with the latest episodes and announcements. And as always, see you next time on Tardisian Files. So in conclusion, we may not know for sure who the mystery hand character is or who they work for, but we know there are several runners-up for the actor who may be playing them, and I personally hope that it is Helena Bonham Carter, and I certainly look forward to finding out.